Good morning, good morning, good morning. How are you today? It's quite a morning. We've got a little project that we're going to work on. We've made a couple of nice little butterflies out of maple and walnut. And then we have an inlay of glitter because when you have a 12-year-old daughter, yes, you do those things. All right, so to give credit its due, the inspiration for my project came from two books. Both books, the Best of Scroll Saw, Woodworking and Crafts book, one by Kathy Wise. This one does not have an artist on it, but I do see a Fox Chapel Publishing on each of these. Now, my daddy always told me you can learn anything from a book, and I do believe that that's true. If you truly want to learn something and do something, I took up woodworking just a few years ago, and it's amazing the things that you can learn to do just by reading some books and having the courage to act. What we've done is we have taken two pieces of wood, a piece of walnut and a piece of maple. We've put them together, we've glued them, and we have come up with this little piece here. So we've got some maple and walnut put together with some hot glue, kind of press it together as tight as you can, and then what we've done is we've taken a pattern, although we're not going to follow the pattern completely because we're not doing this on a scroll saw. We're going to be doing this on a band saw. Now, I don't know if this is the most recommended, especially for the size blade that I'm using. It's very small, but we're going to have to go very slow to make sure that the blade has enough time to remove the wood. Now, we're going to start out on this by really just making a cut, and the most important, we can kind of come in anywhere in here, but by the time we get to this point where the body of the butterfly and the wing join together, this is the cut that we really need to make, and then we can exit anywhere. Okay, so very short distance that we have to be really accurate. Now, one thing that I heard once or read once or maybe even saw once on television, I'm not sure where I picked it up from, but you want to you almost have to start turning your blade in the new direction that you're taking when you're making the cut. You have to start a little bit early. Typically they say as wide as the blade is. So if I'm going to start going this way, I have to really start, you know, kind of down here to make sure that I'm going to make that swoop. And when I'm coming back out again, I've got to start a little bit early to be able to make it out so I don't cut too far and cut through something. So we're going to go ahead and try and make these cuts. We're going to separate the body first, and then we'll go ahead and separate the wings a bit, and then we'll start to clean it up and get it into the shape that we want it to. All right, let's go ahead and get started. We're going to set up. Done so far on this butterfly is made one cut through and right next to the body. We're kind of separating the body from the wing. And the most important part of the cut is right from about here to about here. You can see where the wing. So we can come in anywhere and we can get out anywhere, but we want to try and leave a really nice shape for this body when we cut through here. And it's really only from about there to about there. that we really need to be accurate with our cuts. So we've been through once. We're going to go through a second time. We'll go ahead and set this piece aside for now. We'll go ahead and get our dust protection. And voila, we are through, and there we have our small little body. We have one wing that will fit perfectly on either board as we kind of look and slide that through. Okay, so now we can, once we get the wings cut out the rest of the way, then we can mix our woods and mix our colors and kind of do a bit of intarsia on this as well, and just a fun little project that we'll have fun gluing back together. All right, so we've set aside the body of our butterfly, and now what we're going to do is we're going to take our wings and we're going to make a cut and separate the top and the bottom wing on each side. We'll make that cut first, and then we'll start to go around each individual one as well. So let's go ahead and get started. We'll turn on our dust protection. Pretty dusty. I probably should be wearing a dust mask, but for this project today I wanted to be able to talk a little more clearly. So now that, you know, these pieces have been taken apart, they'll fit back together perfectly, and again with either the walnut or the maple, and you're going to be able to interchange those, and we'll be able to do that on both pieces. And let's go ahead and bring back in our body here. And we'll fit that back in, and we see that they all fit back together very nicely. Pretty cool, huh? All right. the oscillating spindle sander by Jet, one of my favorite tools. And what we're going to do is we're going to clean up some of these edges a little bit that are a little bit sharp and just kind of do the outside. What we're not going to do is we're not going to touch the inside pieces that join, okay, or along in this area. We're not going to touch any of those because that'll ruin the nice fit when we go to gluing later. But for now, we're just going to touch up some of these outside pieces. We don't need the inside ones, so we're going to move those out of the way. We will do the top and bottom of the body a little bit as well. So let's go ahead and get started and start to get these pieces trimmed down a little. Now these have already come apart a little bit. I'm going to try and hold them together a bit. There we have it. All of the outsides have been sanded down. We have the body sanded except for the inside that touch the wings. And now we're ready to take apart our pieces and kind of start the sanding and gluing process. So let's go ahead. We're going to head over to the microwave because we have, if you do not remember, we've hot glued the maple and the walnut together. And now we need to microwave them, and now you can see the nice walnut butterfly that has been cut out. The maple is harder to see because it has the paper on it, but that'll sand right off. So now what we're going to do is we're going to do a little bit of switching around. Also, when I did these, there's a couple different things that I did, but we'll come back to that later. And now you can see we have taken the inside of the wings, the inside panels, and moved them to the other side. We've also flipped them over so that we are mirroring each other. You know, you could have them stand, and one way to notice this is that in this area here, these curves are the same. I could have put them so that one was here and one was over here, but instead I wanted to put those curves together, basically mirroring each other. So that's turned out very nice. Now it's time to start to kind of build in some definition, some 3D to it, which we'll use with a few different types of sanders, and we'll get started on that shortly. But for now, we'll break. So some really great glue that does a really great job is the 2P10, the adhesive. And when you buy it with the activator, it's it's just great for being able to get a quick, secure bond. And I love these products. As you can see, I'm about halfway through this bottle, and I think this one I'm actually on my second one. So what we're going to do is we're going to start out with the 2 bottom pieces on each one, and we're going to make sure they're not going to be tight all the way around, because when we cut through it, the bandsaw actually made a gap in there that is going to fill, that we just can't fill. So what we want to do, these are the pieces here that fit tightly against this body. So we want to glue these 2 first. We're going to do that, and then we're going to do the other side, glue these 2 together, and then we have to do some carving before we can glue any more pieces. I should probably clean that off. This one I've had around for a long time. You don't have to use an awful lot of this stuff. So we're going to put some of the glue here just down in this bottom part here. Make sure that we get plenty in there. Cover that good. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take our activator and we're going to spray on this part. So let's flip this back down and let's get ready to put these in place, and we just need to hold that tight for maybe 5 or 10 seconds. We've got it just where we want it. It's nice and smooth, so it'll fit in there up very nicely. The band, well, we'll have to take that off a little bit later. All right, let's get that one out of the way, and let's do this one. And again, what we'll do is we'll get the inside of this piece. Plenty. We'll spray on our activator. Flip this back down and let's get that into place and tight. I think we're good there. Perfect. You may have noticed that my wood thicknesses are not the same. A little bit unfortunate on that, but that's no big deal. Most of that's going to be sanded down anyways, so a quick and easy fix, so I didn't feel the need to plane the 2 pieces of wood to the same height, although it may brought in just a little more work, but not a big deal. All right, so we're done with the one. Let's go ahead and get ready to do butterfly number 2. we're getting close to being done with our butterflies. I've gone ahead and sanded all of the pieces down to a 220 grain sandpaper. And then I had to run a little bit of a test. And what I've done is this valley that we gouged out, we've now put a layer of glitter and epoxy in. And then just wiped off the excess around the edges. So I'm going to try and do a second layer to kind of fill that in a little bit. And then do a first layer on this, and hopefully it still works out. And then we'll work on the other butterfly. So we've used some of this epoxy already, and we're going to cut this off to see how much we have left. We've done a couple tests. We're probably about halfway through. I think we should be all right. Let's dump in some of our Art Minds glitter. I wish they had a little bit better cover. But we're going to pour in a bunch of glitter there. Seems like a lot, but I don't know how much it really is. I still have quite a bit in there of my use, and we'll get that out of the way a little bit, and then we'll pop the top. We'll tip it upright first so that the bubbles rise to the top, and we'll even pull back on that a little bit, and then we'll pop that off. There's no glue on there at all because when we finished, we pulled this down. But let's go ahead and get our glue, our epoxy, the resins. We're just going to spin those back and forth so they kind of mix a little bit, and I'm going to use up the rest of that bottle. We've got 30 minutes to work with this. We'll get a couple things out of the way so we can, look at that, that's a project, one of my unfinished projects that I'm working on, but I'm pretty close to doing some more stuff on him. We've got 30 minutes, although I don't want to be working on it for that long. So we're going to try and get this mixed up. Ooh, did not want to do that. This stuff gets all over everything. So let's get this. And you certainly don't want to blow right now. So you have to kind of find a happy medium. Sometimes once it's gotten mixed, it starts getting a little bit dark. And a lot of times I'll try and add back in a little bit more, but you don't want it to be so darn gloppy that it's kind of hard to work with too. So it looks like we've got this mixed up pretty good. And then we're going to start putting this on the next one. Okay, there we go. I'm going to try and work as quickly as we can just to get that in there, get it down. It's going to sink in a bit, and it might even shrink. Although some of this kind of helps. We're only going to do one at a time and then wipe it off and then move to the next and see how quickly we can get through these next two. And then if we're good and maybe a little bit lucky, we can even thicken these back up a little bit. I should have a timer going. right, so there is one. Let's see if we can start wiping this stuff up. It's going to be big globs. And now we're going to start going with the grain to try and get that off as quickly as possible and move on to the next one. We'll come down there. Make sure you check your hands a little bit to see that they are clean. It seems to stick in the hole pretty good. Make sure you check the outside as you're going around. And that looks pretty good for a first coat. I want to make sure I got this end clean.